There's a very fine line between covering internet drama and becoming the drama yourself. Most creators know where that line is. They react, they comment, they move on. But every once in a while, someone behaves so invested in a situation that they stop acting like an observer and start behaving like they're personally involved. And that's exactly where Marissa Ariel comes in.
Appreciate your concern, but unfortunately, you're very wrong with me posting and how I'm dealing with this.
Over the past several weeks, Marissa has inserted herself deeper and deeper into the ongoing Timber Bowman situation. What started as making breakdown videos has now escalated into contacting Timber directly, reaching out to members of her family, speaking with viewers involved in the situation, and even communicating with caseworkers connected to her case.
Last night, I got the rare opportunity to go live and interview Timber's. I've spoken to multiple family members at this point, and it's a very sad case.
So far, the internet has repeatedly called her out, accusing her of escalating an already disturbing situation instead of helping it. A lot of people have also been accusing her in her own comments section, emphasizing how if she really did only want to help Timber, she wouldn't be sharing all of this online for content. But according to Marissa, she's simply acting out of the goodness of her heart. She insists she's trying to protect Dylan and do the right thing, portraying herself as someone stepping in where nobody else will.
The reason the situation hit me so deeply was twofold. I have a very special place in my heart for people that are mentally ill, and I try to talk about Timber in the most respectful way possible, and have been messaged by other nurses being told, thank you for how respectful I've been in the way that I've told my story. And when I saw Dylan's response video, at the end, it said, I'm gonna keep making music if I have things to write about. And when I heard that, I saw a man in deep distress who was potentially going to give up his life's dream because of a mentally ill person.
Well, the problem is that's not how many people see it. Instead, Marissa isn't just documenting the story anymore, she's actively influencing it. And when a creator starts becoming a participant in someone else's real-life crisis, the question isn't whether they have good intentions, it's whether they should be involved at all.
I knew it was a matter of time where I was gonna have to respond to some dumbass comment like this one, or like this one. Let's start with the word exploiting so I can read you the actual definition. Shall we? The action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work.
Well, she went through every single one of Timber's videos, and we went through every single one of hers to give you an idea of what's been going on. So today we're taking a deep dive into the Marissa Ariel controversy, why so many people believe she's crossed the line, and whether her actions are actually helping or making an already disturbing situation even worse. Now, before we get into everything Marissa has been doing online, we need to give some background for anyone who isn't familiar with the Timber Bowman situation. We've actually covered part of this story on the channel before, so if you want the complete timeline and all the details leading up to where we are now, we definitely recommend checking out that video first. That said, we're still going to go over the key events because a lot has happened since our last update. The situation has evolved significantly. There have been countless new developments and debates, and without that context, it'd be difficult to understand why so many people are criticizing Marissa's involvement. Before we continue though, we want to make one thing very clear. For this update, we did not visit or engage with any of Timber's social media pages. Any clips of Timber shown in this video have been sourced from Reddit posts, reposts, and other creators who've documented the situation without directly inserting themselves into the drama, unlike Marissa, of course. With all that out of the way, let's go back to the beginning and break down exactly what happened. So for those who haven't been following this story, Timber Bowman is a TikTok creator who went viral after posting hundreds of videos about a man named Dylan, a life skills specialist who worked at the psychiatric facility where she was receiving treatment.
Honestly, I cannot wait to eat his boogers. I don't know what it is. I just keep having visions of me putting my tongue up his nose, all this time he's literally talking to me about his whole entire life, telling me things about him and his daughter, and talking to me about his music career, and all of this stuff, not rejecting me, not one time, giving me his social media, knowing that I'm in love with him, knowing that I'm obsessed with him.
Yeah, and this is one example. She has said many unhinged things online about this guy.
Are you doing this? Literally, that's literally what I was saying. And you can ask anybody else that was up in that goddamn house that day, because they knew that I was ready to knock that mother out, bro. Okay, I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to, like, keep my emotions inside. Okay, because that day was crazy for me. That was really crazy for me. I literally stayed up all night, bawling my eyes out, literally to the point that I'm pretty sure I was, like, gagging, like, almost vomiting, because I literally stayed up all night, like, bawling my goddamn heart out. Literally, like, what the did I do? Like, why the
According to Timber, the two of them were spiritually connected, destined to be together, and secretly in love. She claimed she had visions about him years before they even met, interpreted ordinary interactions as signs that he was pursuing her, and eventually began speaking as if they were already in a relationship.
Happy Mother's Day to my wife, aka husband, Dylan Sperry. A very spiritual awakening. I had a vision. And while I was in jail, I had a vision of this guy that was in a band. And, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I can still kind of see the vision, by the way. And, like, it's so heartwarming. But, like, my heart is literally beating so freaking fast right now. But, like, I was in jail, and I had the vision of the guy. And I seen that he had, like, a infant child, like, a toddler-sized child. From there, I had another spiritual vision of him, like, in that same night. Mind you, this was, like, 2 years ago, by the way. This is way before I ever met this guy.
Yeah, it's really bad. As time went on, the stories became even more concerning. She started talking about planning their wedding, picking out dresses, having children together, and even referred to Dylan's real daughter as if she somehow had a connection to her.
Back to our, like, wedding plans and, like, bedroom plans for our children. I'm either thinking about getting her the big pink bed, the big queen bed, I believe it's a queen.
Her TikTok pages became almost entirely dedicated to Dylan, with emotional videos, love songs, lengthy story times, and countless attempts to convince viewers that he was secretly communicating with her through hidden signs and messages.
Dylan Sperry, I wanna get married to you, 'cause you are like the diamond in the sky.
The problem is that Dylan publicly denied every single one of those claims. According to him, they were never romantically involved. He explained that Timber found his social media after meeting him through the facility, began following his personal life, his family, and his band, and eventually the situation escalated to the point where he felt forced to address everything publicly. Even then, he asked people not to harass Timber, saying that she appeared to need help rather than hate.
Careful about what I say to protect myself legally. I was a life skills specialist or a direct support professional for a company working with people with special needs. And this person was a client to this company. I won't elaborate on what I'm doing legally to protect myself. I won't elaborate on the company that I worked for. And I won't elaborate on this person, what's going on with them, their diagnosis, anything. I really, really appreciate everyone's concern. I am safe. My family is safe. I'm not recording this from my home. And she does not know where my family lives. She only knows what she has access to on the internet, and my Facebook page I use for slight personal use and mainly advertising my music, if I can. So, I am safe. My family is safe. Thank you for your concern. I love you very much. And if you like my music, stick around. I'm gonna try and keep making more. We'll see how long that goes. You know, so I run out of ideas, I guess.
But that wasn't the end of it. As more people started looking into Timber's online presence, they uncovered a long history of contradictory stories, previous harassment allegations, criminal records, and similar incidents involving other men, leading many to believe that Dylan wasn't the first person she had become fixated on. One of the biggest examples people kept pointing to was a man named Cody. According to Timber's own stories, Cody was supposedly her childhood friend, her ex-boyfriend, and at various points, even the father of her unborn children.
Okay, let's just start at elementary school, okay? So, this dude, Cody, is the guy's name, the baby dad. Okay. I don't even want to call him my baby dad though. Like, that's how not obsessed I am with him. Like, I'm just using whitewash terms for your guys' sake. Okay, so you guys can understand. So anyways, I'll start with elementary school. So this dude keep on hitting me up, messaging me, messaging my mom, being like, can Timber be my girlfriend?
However, as people started digging deeper into those claims, a very different version of events began to emerge. From what was shared online, Timber allegedly became heavily fixated on Cody, repeatedly attempting to contact him and inserting herself into his life. She later told lengthy stories about being pregnant with his twins, being abandoned by him, and being mistreated by those around her. But according to information that later surfaced online, Cody reportedly denied that they had ever been in a relationship at all. A creator named Chloe made a video reading out Cody's story that he himself sent to her. In fact, several people began comparing the Cody situation to what was now happening with Dylan. Both stories involved Timber creating an elaborate narrative around a man, presenting herself as the victim of a heartbreaking relationship, while the other person allegedly had a completely different understanding of what had actually happened. And while we don't want to spend too much time on Cody right now, because this video isn't about him, it's important to remember that name. Cody becomes relevant later when we start discussing Marissa's involvement and some of the people she chose to contact while investigating Timber. At the same time, one thing has also become painfully obvious. Timber appears to be seriously struggling with her mental health. And because of that, a lot of people began arguing that constantly interacting with her, provoking her, or turning the situation into internet entertainment would only make things worse. For example, this live stream that Timber was a part of. While we do think that Timber has said some really deranged things online, we honestly don't think she should be berated for it, because when we just look at her, she thinks she's a mermaid, for heaven's sake.
I'm a mermaid from my past life.
For a while, that seemed to be the general consensus. Most creators covered this story from a distance, encouraged viewers not to contact Timber, and tried not to become part of the situation themselves. But then, Marissa Ariel decided to do the exact opposite. Marissa has worn a lot of hats over the years. Depending on where you look, she's described herself as a psychology expert, writer, author, actress, and has also claimed to have studied criminal psychology.
They want to make fun of my professions. Yeah, I've lived a long life. I've done a lot of professions, but I do hold a professional legal financial license, so, you know, the tatas aren't going anywhere. And when I used to live in Miami in 2010, I started a company for alligator wristbands. Follow me for more, poop tricks, so we can reach 5,000, and I can give you all of the tips and tricks for a healthy poop. It's a giveaway. I'm giving you free stuff. I'm a human being. I'm not Amazon. Because y'all want that Starbucks is putting, forever chemicals and killing us, so don't believe that.
But she's not really a psychologist. She said in one of her comments that she was going to be a criminal defense attorney, but that she pivoted to finance. So this is not her profession for sure. She just studied a lot.
I talk to Timber as a clinical health person would. You cannot get as a former bartender and server of 15 years. Because I, as someone who knows the law, is starting a legal process to sue you. Blend in with the crowd so nobody sees me. I'm going to be reading my book. So tune in. I work in finance. They're trained by a Russian gymnastics coach when you... Girl, I already have my mortgage loan originator license. I'm just getting a real estate license so that I can do both. And you know how I know? Because I worked for Bay Rose for 4 years as a production manager. No, asshole. I was a production manager.
Now, we can't verify every single one of her claims, so we're not going to present them as fact. What we do know is that she's authored a book in the past and has appeared in Broadway productions.
I was a child actor, and I was in 2 Broadway shows. I was in the original revival cast of The Sound of Music. And I was also in the 1999 production of A Christmas Carol at Madison Square Garden.
As for the behavioral therapy claims, she doesn't outright say she's a therapist, but she definitely talks in a manner that suggests she's qualified enough.
Performed in front of crowds, know that feeling, and when I saw him being dejected about his music career, that hit me. It hit me performer to performer. And then also the severity of the mental health also hit me really hard because when I first went to college, wanted to be an FBI profiler and studied a ton of behavioral therapy, including linguistics, body language, the way that people phrase their sentences, what it means, how to really kind of decode certain things and pick up on underlying subconscious things that the person may be saying when they're talking, which Timber did have a lot of.
Now, we actually did a little bit of our own research and found her Facebook. Here, she stated that she studied at Florida State University. We unfortunately don't know what exactly she studied because she's not mentioned it here. But we did come across this post as early as 2025, where she said that she worked as an MLO. We also found some other things, for instance, the fact that she is weirdly obsessed with GoFundMe. She made this GoFundMe for her best friend Gwen, which is also linked on her TikTok right now. While nothing's weird about this GoFundMe, what is suspicious is that she also promoted multiple other GoFundMe pages on her Facebook. Help Marissa with saving her fertility at 34, and help Marissa beat multiple tumors in her uterus. All we can say is that she had far too many medical problems. Apparently, her parents also once stole her food money, and she was in a commercial some 10 years ago. We also found something really interesting. This Facebook post, in which she said that her mom is a therapist. The post was actually really charged because she was talking about her parents, we think Michael and Janet Gould. It's evident from the post that she did not get along well with her parents. However, we don't really want to get into her family drama. What really stood out to us was the fact that her mom used to be a therapist, and it's quite possible that she acts as a therapist because she has grown up around one. Also, by the looks of her Facebook, at one point she was definitely struggling financially, which we'll get into by the end of the video. For now, we'll just list some of the facts we found out about her. Number 1, she has some, well, let's just say, interesting political opinions. Number 2, she loved to quote herself on Facebook posts. And number 3, she threw her hands in multiple business ventures, from selling crystals to selling on eBay. Well, we can dig much deeper into her, but we won't for the sake of the video. We honestly tried only a little bit to find out more about her, to show that it is possible to gather a considerable amount of information online without contacting the subject of your video. Today, Marissa has around 13,000 followers on TikTok, and her bio says, case studies on important topics, including mental health. And honestly, that's exactly what her content revolves around. Her entire page is dedicated to breaking down internet controversies, particularly those involving people who appear to be struggling with mental health issues. Now, to be completely fair, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We literally do the same thing on this channel. Creators in this niche exist to document internet stories, explain complicated situations, and hopefully bring awareness to topics that people are already talking about. And yes, let's be honest, we're also creators. We upload videos because we enjoy making them, but we also want people to watch them. That's how social media works. The difference is that Marissa repeatedly presents herself as someone who isn't doing any of this for views or attention. According to her, she's simply acting out of the goodness of her heart because she wants to help people. We mean, just look at how many times she emphasizes that point.
I am not contributing to hurting this man's life at all. In fact, I have done everything in my capacity to help this man protect himself against this woman.
And we're sorry, Marissa, but we just don't buy it. Not because creators can't genuinely care about the topics they cover, but because actions speak louder than words. You'll see exactly why we say that in a moment. Because there's a huge difference between reporting on a story and becoming personally involved in it. We're making a video about Marissa right now, but imagine if we started calling her family members, messaging people connected to her, reaching out to people in her personal life, and trying to insert ourselves into the situation. At that point, we'd stop being commentators and start becoming participants. And that's exactly the criticism people have of Marissa. At first, her coverage of the Timber Bowman situation was fairly straightforward. She made timeline videos explaining what had happened, summarized the allegations, and kept viewers updated as new information came out. Honestly, those first few videos weren't bad. She did a decent job explaining the situation for people who hadn't been following it. But then the updates kept coming, and coming, and coming. Before long, what started as a few explanatory videos turned into a series of more than 30 videos centered around Timber and Dylan. That's when viewers began accusing Marissa of dragging the situation out, milking it for views, and more importantly, becoming far too emotionally invested in a story she wasn't actually a part of. And as you'll see, that was only the beginning. Now, one thing you'll notice pretty quickly is that Marissa does not take this criticism well. Whenever viewers suggested that she was becoming too involved in the situation, she would often respond by insisting that people had completely misunderstood her intentions. Take this video, for example.
Appreciate your concern, but unfortunately, you're very wrong with me posting and how I'm dealing with this situation. So let's go over and read the comment. People had got to stop making videos about this girl. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. That man has asked for people to not feed into it, and that's exactly what you are doing for clicks. This man's life is being affected, and you are helping. I am not contributing to hurting this man's life at all. In fact, I have done everything in my capacity to help this man protect himself against this woman. So let's just debunk that right there. Number 2, I am making these videos so that people don't go and feed into her videos and comment underneath those.
And oh, she also does not understand the concept of exploiting someone.
I knew it was a matter of time where I was going to have to respond to some dumbass comment like this one or like this one. Let's start with the word exploiting so I can read you the actual definition. Shall we? The action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. Number 1, she's not working.
Here, Marissa argues that exploitation simply means benefiting from someone else's work, but she really needs to stop treating Urban Dictionary like it's a legal textbook, because exploitation can take many different forms. It can mean taking advantage of someone who's vulnerable. It can mean manipulating someone who's mentally unwell for your own benefit. And it can also mean inserting yourself into someone else's real-life crisis, turning it into content, and building your platform by making a spectacle out of a person's mental health. That's exactly why so many people have accused Marissa of being exploitative, not because she talked about timber, but because she crossed the line from documenting the situation to becoming part of it. Throughout the video, Marissa mentions that she had around 3,500 followers at the time. Today, that number has grown to well over 14,000, with many of her most viewed videos revolving around Timber and Dylan. So it'd be safe to say that she did gain quite a bit from her coverage of the situation. There have also been screenshots circulating online that appear to show Marissa asking people to follow her page because she wanted to grow her audience. In it, Marissa writes, "I just posted a video on the update of where Timber is. If you could like and reshare some of my videos, that would be super helpful, especially because I know people are asking you. I would like to gain more followers. It would be nice because I need to hit 5,000 in order to post as many shop links as I want because I'm a TikTok affiliate. I'm almost there because I keep getting followers from this, but I feel like maybe if you shared some of my updates, people who followed you would follow me because of it." So this is where her whole "I'm doing this purely out of the goodness of my heart" narrative starts to fall apart. In her own message, she's openly acknowledging that she's gaining followers from the Timber situation and asking someone to share her updates specifically so she can grow her audience even faster and reach the follower requirements for TikTok affiliate features. Now, to be clear, there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting more followers. Every content creator wants their work to reach more people. We certainly do. The issue is that Marissa repeatedly frames herself as someone who has absolutely nothing to gain from this coverage, while her page, audience, and engagement were all growing alongside this story.
Update for y'all. Yes, I am aware that this is not true. Number 2, I'm not in the creator program. I'm getting paid 0.
And that's why many viewers weren't convinced by the "I'm only doing this out of the goodness of my heart" argument, because whether or not that was her intention, she was undeniably benefiting from the attention the story was bringing to her platform. But honestly, we don't want to spend too much time debating whether Marissa was benefiting from these videos, because in the grand scheme of things, that's probably one of the least concerning parts of this story. There are much bigger issues with the way she handled this entire situation. For starters, this wasn't the only time Marissa appeared to take criticism incredibly personally. Throughout her coverage, she repeatedly responded to commentators who questioned her methods, and she often seemed to view any disagreement as a personal attack rather than constructive criticism.
So I had some friends last night say, Marissa, you don't have to defend yourself because everything you've done has been above board, respectful, and helpful to everyone involved. And I said, you're right. But I am going to respond because I'm not a quiet person, and you either love me or you hate me. The people that love me know that I'm a ride or die. The people that hate me, and you can see your way out the door.
We mean take this interaction with another creator, Mama C, for example.
They said that Dylan has her locked up in his basement.
Dylan does not have her locked up in his basement. Dylan is not missing, okay? I am getting very upset at people like this person. This is rage bait. This is not proper informing people of what's going on. Has Timber not posted in a day or so? Yes. Did she get kicked out of the facility that she's in? Most likely. The reason she hasn't posted probably doesn't have internet and is probably worrying about where she's sleeping, which, to be honest, is something that she needs to figure out, okay? Saying that Dylan has her in his basement is the most irresponsible thing I have ever heard. Also saying that Dylan is missing, also irresponsible. The man is not missing, he's just not on social media, okay? Like, get over it. I have been trying to help as much as I can behind the scenes with this case, and when I see shit like this, I am pissed. Because it is irresponsible. It makes people want to go find out where she was living in the facility, and these people deserve privacy. Yes, this woman put this shit online. Yes, we're all talking about it. We're going through the timelines. We're trying to figure it out. Yes, but they deserve privacy to the point where, like, you're gonna try to find out where the residential center is? Like, what's wrong with you? Guys, enough is enough. We're dealing with a severely mentally ill person who now believes that she's pregnant, and every time she believes she's pregnant, she escalates. And we have people like Mama C saying, I saw a comment, and they say Dylan has her in her basement. Like, shut up, girl. Like, report it properly or don't report it at all, because this is not a story that you should be rage-baiting on. You picked the wrong one. You picked the wrong one. You're putting people's lives at risk by saying things like this. Let me repeat that. You are putting people's lives at risk by saying shit like you just said. So stop, okay? And if you want any information, Mama C, DM me, but don't put that shit out online. Because all it's gonna do is make it worse. And you have a big following, and you know exactly what you're doing. So stop. Report it properly or don't report it at all. End of story.
In this video, Marissa criticizes Mama C for speculating about the situation, arguing that people shouldn't make assumptions or spread theories when they don't know all the facts, which on the surface is actually a fair point. The problem is that Marissa didn't exactly follow her own advice, because not long after that, she went on to make videos where she herself speculated the crap out of the situation. Here she said that she doesn't know how much of this is true, and in this video as well, she said that Timber could be on the streets. She most likely did not have access to Wi-Fi, making it the most plausible reason why she's not updated it yet. So yeah, that's speculating too. So naturally, people started asking, if speculation is wrong, why is it suddenly okay when you're the one doing it? Another thing viewers noticed was that Marissa often presented herself as if she had exclusive access to information that nobody else had. She repeatedly hinted that she had inside sources, private conversations, or behind-the-scenes knowledge that made her coverage more reliable than everyone else's.
Part 2 of the most disturbing part of this Timber Sperry story, and the newest, most up-to-date information literally out of Timber's mouth, and honestly at this point I'm afraid for her safety.
And honestly, it almost came across as if she didn't want other creators covering this story at all. Instead of welcoming more people to investigate the situation, she often acted as though she was the authority on the Timber case, and that everyone else was either misinformed or getting in the way. Basically, she wanted to become the official Timber Bowman reporter, and that attitude became especially obvious when it came to her hatred for Mama C.
Let's move on to what she said to this content creator last night, who very irresponsibly reported on it after Timber asked over 5 times to please block out her name, don't reply, and literally, in quotation marks, asked, if you post, please be respectful about my personal boundaries and privacy, which this person absolutely did not do.
So yeah, according to Marissa, Mama C covered the Timber situation irresponsibly. She claimed that Mama C included Timber's name in a video even after she had allegedly asked 5 separate times for it to be removed. Now the problem is that Mama C's original video is no longer available, so we can't independently verify exactly what was said or whether the text messages Marissa shared tell the full story. It's entirely possible that Mama C did leave certain details out or misrepresent parts of their conversation. But here's the thing, even if we give Marissa the benefit of the doubt in that situation, there are plenty of other examples that raised eyebrows. In one of her videos, Marissa claimed that she'd been working behind the scenes to help both Dylan and Timber. She also said that it was important to figure out where Timber was, because that information could help this situation.
And I also figured at this point, we do kind of need to know where Timber is to get her the help she needs, and I don't mind taking the hit. I'm used to being hated. I am. So if people want to be angry at me about asking for that information, I'll take the hit because it could be helpful. So there's that. We'll start there.
And this is where a lot of people felt she had already crossed the line. At this point, she wasn't just documenting the story anymore. She wasn't simply reporting updates or summarizing what had happened. She was actively trying to locate Timber, communicating with people connected to the case, and becoming personally involved in a situation that, at the end of the day, wasn't hers to manage. That's a very different role from being an online commentator. But if you think that was already too much, you haven't seen anything yet. Because what Marissa did next is the moment many viewers believe she was doing too much. After Marissa uploaded that video claiming she was working behind the scenes, she went right back to covering Timber's latest uploads. She made several videos breaking down another one of Timber's lengthy story times, but then things escalated once again, because shortly afterward, Marissa uploaded a video claiming that she had actually interviewed Timber's cousin.
I just had the craziest live where I was able to interview Timber Bowman's cousin. It was very interesting. It was very informative. She's a very sweet girl. She's young, and she obviously very much cares about her cousin, and is asking people to not talk about her meanly and disrespectfully, which I also agree with.
And then literally the next day, she uploaded yet another update, this time while sitting on the back of an Uber.
Last night, I got the rare opportunity to go live and interview Timber's cousin.
In the video, Marissa says she spoke to Timber's cousin, describes her as very sweet, and tells viewers that based on their conversation, she believes Timber is not faking her mental health struggles.
And to see that is really great. That's beautiful, because we've all been worried about the family situation. She says she does not want people to go over to Timber's page and either speak badly about her or feed into this Dylan situation. And she wants to make it clear that Timber is not faking it. To Timber, this is 100% real.
She even ends the video by saying that the whole experience felt surreal.
It was a very interesting and enlightening conversation. I'm glad that I was the one that got to talk to her. I feel like honored. It was surreal. So that's what I have for you.
Now, to be fair, we're not saying she's lying about having this conversation, but there was no independent proof that any of it actually happened. Viewers were simply expected to take her word for it. One viewer even commented on how she is supposed to know that Timber's not under medical care. And to this, she simply said, "Move will reveal itself soon." However, things got even more confusing after people on Reddit started posting what they claimed were screenshots of Marissa's conversation with Timber's alleged cousin. Now, we're not really sure if it was with Marissa or about Marissa. According to those posts, the interview Marissa described appeared to consist of only a handful of text messages and a few short voice notes.
No, I guess Timber came to the realization that she needed to stop posting as much and sharing as much. I don't know, some people say that it could be the court influencing it, or a social worker, or DHS services influencing her not to post. Some people think Marissa is talking to her and telling her not to post, but at the same time, her and Marissa haven't talked for 5 days, 10 days, on maybe not 10 days, but 5 or 6, 7 days, 6, 7. The last real hardcore evidence of Timber talking to Marissa is a comment on one of Marissa's videos where Timber's "Please don't reshare my videos." And then I was is this play about me? But I did not listen, and I continue to reshare them.
Now, we can't independently verify whether these screenshots are authentic or whether they represent the entire conversation, so take this with a grain of salt. On top of that, there was another debate unfolding online. Some people questioned whether Marissa had actually been speaking to Timber's cousin at all. Instead, they speculated that the person in the voice notes could have been Timber's mother, Danny. However, Danny later posted a video comparing her own voice to the voice heard in those recordings, arguing that it wasn't her. She also called Marissa a nut job for trying to convince people that the voice belonged to Danielle.
Took a second, lady. If you just took a second, little lady.
Took a second, little lady. You took a second, little lady. You'd see that's not my voice. Not even if I tried. We sound nothing alike. And Marissa is a crazy nut job for trying to convince everybody that that's my voice. That voice sounds like a little child voice. I sound like a grown adult voice with a little masculinity to it. So I think we can kind of tell the difference.
So at this point, we honestly don't know who's telling the truth, because there's simply not enough evidence for us to reach a conclusion. We're not going to speculate any further. What we can say, though, is that regardless of who she was speaking to, the criticism remained the same. Marissa was continuing to involve herself directly with people connected to Timber's personal life instead of simply reporting on publicly available information. And regardless of whether the conversation took place, a lot of people felt that contacting family members was crossing a line. There are plenty of creators who cover internet controversies every single day. Take Michael Zachary, for example. He's built an entire platform around documenting girl world drama, but for the most part, he sticks to publicly available information. He reports on what's already out there instead of inserting himself into the lives of the people involved. Marissa, on the other hand, seemed to be doing the opposite. She wasn't just watching the story unfold anymore, she was actively becoming part of it. Another criticism that kept coming up had to do with the title of her series. Marissa titled it, "Who is Timber Sperry?" Now, that might not seem like a big deal at first, but viewers were quick to point out that Sperry isn't actually Timber's legal last name. It's the surname of Dylan, the man she's become obsessed with and believes she's engaged to. So by repeatedly using Sperry in the title, critics argued that Marissa was unintentionally reinforcing Timber's delusion, while also drawing even more attention to Dylan, a man who had already publicly distanced himself from the situation, and for the most part disappeared from the internet because of it. One commentator even pointed this out directly. She said, "Every time I hear the last name used that does not belong to her, I get so upset. I am sure Dylan would appreciate his last name not being used." Marissa responded by saying, "The only reason I named this series is that it's something to follow so people don't just go to random parts of the story. And in every single video I do write it in quotation marks that her real last name is Bowman. I don't have enough followers to pop this all into a playlist, so I have to put parts with the name. Otherwise, no one's gonna understand what I'm talking about." She also uploaded this video explaining why she titled her series with this name.
I've been getting a lot of this comment, and I wanted to address it. I am very aware that her name is not Sperry. I put Timber Sperry because when I first reported on this, that was what she was going by, and that's what people knew her as. And I sort of named the series Who is Timber Bowman, much like, an episodic TV show has a name. And I don't have a big enough following where I have the ability to make a playlist. So I can't be like, hey guys, go to the playlist. It's just not possible. When I first started, I had 3,000 followers. I posted 3 parts. I never expected this to blow up the way that it did. I'm trying to help Dylan. I'm trying to do everything I can to help in this situation. And because of that, I feel the need to see it through, which is why I'm continuing to report on it as timely as I can.
But this brings us to what was probably the biggest criticism people had of her. Marissa constantly said that everything she was doing was to help, but viewers kept asking the same simple question: help? How? Because from the outside looking in, it wasn't clear how contacting relatives, interviewing family members, searching for Timber's whereabouts, or posting dozens of updates about someone who appeared to be in the middle of a mental health crisis was actually improving the situation. She replied to these criticisms in the comments, saying that there were things she couldn't reveal for legal reasons, and that was really all she was willing to say. She wrote, "I know that I'm helping, and I know I'm doing good. I know I am reporting on this in the most respectful way possible. I know Timber is okay with it, so people can hate me, but I'm going to see this through to the end so that there's a happy ending for everybody." But the thing is that Marissa didn't just respond to random commentators. She also started replying directly to Timber's own comments and interacting with her publicly, which is a little strange, because throughout this entire saga, Marissa kept telling everyone else not to engage with Timber. Dylan himself had publicly asked people to leave her alone and stop feeding into the situation, yet Marissa seemed to believe that those rules somehow didn't apply to her. She replied to this comment made by Timber saying, "Documentary coming soon," and Marissa replied directly to her, writing, "I've been trying to contact you, and I am so happy that you have your phone back. That was what I was trying to get to happen. I was trying to force your mother to give your phone back to you because a judge did not tell her that she is allowed to steal your property." Well, you'll see as we move ahead in this story that Marissa really wanted Timber to get her phone back. Maybe she cared for Timber. Maybe she just wanted Timber to keep making unhinged claims online so that she would have more to report on. We don't know. As for the documentary comment, Marissa herself has been pushing for it. One person commented under the video saying that Netflix should pull up to cover the situation, and she liked that comment. But even that wasn't the furthest she went, because Marissa later revealed that she'd actually reached out to Timber herself and claimed that the two of them had spoken for nearly an hour.
I actually got the opportunity to speak to Timber last night for like an hour.
At the same time, she continued insisting that she wasn't exploiting Timber or taking advantage of the situation. But then, during the same video, she started revealing personal information that many viewers felt should never have been shared publicly. For example, she told her audience that Timber was no longer in a psychiatric facility, but had been moved to a traditional housing facility.
First thing I asked was, "Are you safe? And how are you feeling?" And she says, "I'm safe. Today I'm feeling okay." She is not staying with her mom. She's not in jail. And she's not in a traditional mental facility that like people keep thinking about, where there's like medication timed daily and check-ins and talk therapy, things like that. She's in a transitional housing facility for people that don't have a place to go.
Again, people immediately started asking, why does the internet need to know that? Now, before we move on, we want to explain why we think sharing this kind of information was a mistake on Marissa's part. First of all, we don't think contacting Timber directly was the right decision in the first place. But even if Marissa genuinely believed she was helping and wanted to make sure Timber was safe, there was no reason to publicly tell the internet about it. She could have just stayed behind the scenes. And there are a couple reasons for that. The first is that people had already been trying to figure out Timber's whereabouts long before Marissa got involved. Internet users had been digging into where she first met Dylan, researching the psychiatric facility she had attended, and attempting to piece together information about where she might be receiving treatment. So when Marissa started publicly revealing details about the type of facility Timber was now staying in, it only gave people another trail to follow. And that's where this second concern comes in. The more information you put out there about someone's location or treatment, the more likely it is that people start contacting those facilities themselves, trying to obtain more information, searching for addresses, or even attempting to reach the person directly. Now, we're not saying that's what Marissa intended, but intent and impact aren't always the same thing. If your stated goal is to make sure someone receives the treatment and privacy they need, then publicly sharing details about their care or where they're staying seems to work against that goal rather than support it. Sometimes the most responsible thing you can do with sensitive information is simply not share it, because once that information is on the internet, you no longer have control over what thousands of strangers choose to do with it. And honestly, what made the conversation even more uncomfortable was the way Marissa spoke to Timber during what she described as their conversation. Instead of consistently challenging some of Timber's beliefs or redirecting the discussion, many viewers felt that Marissa was validating or entertaining parts of Timber's narrative in a way that could reinforce her delusions. We mean, just look at Marissa recalling some of the questions she asked Timber.
I'm trying to explain that as best I can. Whether it's real or not, she is having the emotions that this is real. I wanted to clarify that difference because I want to tell people again, please don't go to her page and bully her. No one likes being bullied, whether the situation is complex and confusing or not. She doesn't deserve to be bullied. Nobody does. And also, Dylan doesn't deserve to be in fear for his life. She did express that she would feel comfortable going to the hospital if she had a trusted advocate to go with her. Meaning, if she had someone who could talk to them for her, because they're not really listening to her, they're dismissing what she's saying, and there was another person that could maybe translate what she's saying to talk to them, to let them know that, you know, if they do hold her for 72 hours to check something out, that they would then go and give her some type of referral to a third-party place that she could go to that's an actual treatment facility that would handle mental health, whether it be her grieving the loss of the child and her sort of understanding that and accepting that and, you know, moving on. And then also, if she were in a 30-day treatment center, she wouldn't have her phone, she wouldn't have internet access, she would be able to just fully look internally. There would be psychologists, psychiatrists, and multiple people that she could talk to. I think, in my opinion, that that would be the best course of action, and I wish that she had someone trusted that could go in with her to talk to them for her. Unfortunately, she does not trust anyone enough to do that.
Now, we're obviously not mental health professionals, and we can't say what the correct way to speak to someone in Timber's situation is. But what we can say is that repeatedly asking someone about the person they're obsessing over, discussing their relationship in detail, and encouraging lengthy conversations about it is exactly what many people were worried about. Because if someone is already convinced that this relationship is real, constantly giving them another opportunity to talk about it may only keep those beliefs alive. And that's the bigger concern here. As long as the internet keeps asking Timber about Dylan, making videos about Dylan, interviewing her about Dylan, and reacting to every new claim she makes about him, Dylan remains at the center of her attention. The cycle just keeps repeating itself. Timber posts, reaction channels react, Timber reacts to the reaction channels. Meanwhile, Dylan and his family are the ones who continue being dragged back into a situation they've repeatedly tried to distance themselves from. Collectively, if the goal is to genuinely help, then the most responsible thing people can probably do is stop feeding the cycle. Stop directing viewers to her page. Stop encouraging interactions. If you do report on the situation, stick to publicly available information. Avoid sensationalizing it. And encourage your audience not to engage with Timber directly. But that's not really what Marissa was doing. Instead, she continued releasing part after part after part. Even her conversation with Timber turned into a multi-part series. And throughout those videos, many viewers felt that she was leaning into Timber's version of events far more than she should have. One thing we also want to mention is that throughout these videos, Marissa repeatedly criticized the hospital and suggested they hadn't done their due diligence or that they should have handled Timber differently.
This is part 2 of the conversation I had with Timber last night. I'm going to grab my coffee for this one and we're going to wrap it up, so let's get into it. So we started talking about the hospital visit and how that went, and she said that when she went in there, she told them about the baby that was no longer alive that was inside of her, and they dismissed that and also said that it was a special pregnancy, so they couldn't see on a sonogram, give her any type of confirmation or denial, or help her with anything that would be inside of her that's no longer alive. They did, though, hold her for, I believe, a couple days, but they just sort of spit her out and gave her paperwork that said that she was schizophrenic and that she was crazy and having delusions. So they did not do their due diligence, in my opinion. Like, they didn't give her a recommendation to a 30-day treatment facility, which I believe would be the best case scenario, because
the problem is that those claims largely appear to be based on what Timber was saying. And throughout this entire story, one of the biggest challenges has been figuring out which parts of Timber's account are actually grounded in reality. So making strong conclusions about the actions of healthcare professionals based primarily on Timber's version of events is something we think should be approached with a great deal of caution. However, that being said, we do believe that mental health is extremely important, and people should have the right and resources to receive the treatment and support they need. Regardless, with all of that criticism, Marissa eventually addressed the accusations in one of her later videos. She argued that when she spoke to Timber, she wasn't talking to her as just another person on the internet. Instead, she said she was speaking to her almost like a medical professional, making it clear that she wasn't there to impose her own opinions, but to support her.
Something is happening that is not happening. You cannot just force your opinions and your views on someone. You have to talk to them. You have to ask them how they're feeling, ask them where their head's at. You can't just say, well, I believe this, so you need to do that. That's not going to help. Cody's mom, if it is Cody's mom, I haven't heard back from her, commented underneath, and she's very correct about a lot of things. The mental health system is terrible. And when you're dealing with people that have severe mental health cases in a hospital setting, they don't just take you in and commit you for the rest of time. They do what's called a 72-hour psych evaluation hold. They do a psych eval. They generally give you medication to leave with, but then they just have you leave onto the street and they don't actually follow up or do anything for you. So it's very difficult in all of America to get mental health care for somebody that truly needs it, that believes something is happening that other people don't believe is happening. So there's a delusion going on in someone's world where they believe something is happening, but the other people don't believe that it's happening. So in Timber's case, she believes that there is an unalived baby inside of her.
But that response only led people to ask an even bigger question. Who exactly gave Marissa the authority to take on that role? Simply believing you're helping doesn't automatically make you qualified to involve yourself in someone else's mental health crisis. And that was the concern people kept raising over and over again. Because at the end of the day, Marissa wasn't Timber's therapist. She wasn't her psychiatrist. She wasn't part of her treatment team. She was a TikTok creator, and many viewers felt she had started acting like she was much more than that. But by this point, the entire situation had become an absolute circus. It seemed like every creator wanted a piece of what had become one of TikTok's biggest ongoing stories, which brings us to another creator, Chloe. If you remember, Chloe was the creator who managed to get in contact with Cody, the man Timber had previously built another elaborate story around. In fact, Marissa herself had previously credited Chloe for helping uncover that information. But before long, even Marissa and Chloe were publicly falling out. Marissa uploaded a video claiming Chloe was upset because Marissa hadn't shared updates with her, while Marissa also alleged that Chloe had made videos insulting her. Honestly, it's a mess, and rather than try to untangle who was right and who was wrong, we'd rather just let you hear Marissa explain it herself.
There is a user who initially went by Chloe, who I credited in my video when I asked her permission to tell Cody's side of the story after I had reported on what Timber had said in her video. Chloe said, yes, I reported on it, and that was it. I moved on with my life because she only had Cody's story. A couple days later, I got messages from her saying that she's so hurt. Her personal feelings are hurt because I didn't keep her abreast of what was going on and what I was going to be posting. And she's like, how do you have 17 parts? I don't have 10,000 followers. Let's just use that IQ. So I can't create a playlist, okay? I have decided to name my series talking about different issues on TikTok, Who Is or Who Are. Timber was the first one. Her account is named Timber's Theory. So the episodes were named Who Is Timber's Theory. In the first sentence of everything, it says Timber quotes Theory, real last name Bowman. So we're just gonna move on from that one. Then we're gonna go to the really special audio she played last night as a gotcha, which I don't think everyone thought it was a gotcha you thought, girl, but apparently this girl Alexia, who I was in communication with because she told me that she was in college studying behavioral health. And she thought that this was a fascinating, case study for behavioral health, and it is. So I was discussing it with her. I was getting from upstairs to downstairs in my apartment, and I happened to be in my bathroom and I was cleaning up some things. I was talking on the phone. The dog was annoyed. He's 3, he's still young, and he pawed the trash can. It fell over, and he went to bite some stuff out of the trash can, and in that trash can was a pod. I am a female. Females have periods. Dogs smell blood. That's what they go to bite. Did I allow him to eat it? No. Did he go to bite it and then I grabbed it out of his hand? Yes. But this woman plays this video trying to paint me as a PDF file because I, in my train of thought, said, oh, I'm so sorry, that noise because my dog knocked over the trash can and he pulled this out of it and I had to grab it from him. Okay? So thank you, Joey, Chloe, Schmolly, Fuckhead, whoever the hell you are, because I'm pretty confident at this point that when you put out Cody's story with 0 followers and nobody knew who you were because it was just Chloe with like a blue C, like we didn't even know if you were a man or a woman, nothing. And I reached out to you, you gave me permission, I posted your story, and then you come back to me with your feelings hurt, like I owe you something? Are you okay? Like, honest question, are you okay? Because when you have one conversation with a person on TikTok, I don't feel that I owe you anything else. And in fact, I don't owe you anything else. I don't know you. I asked to repost your story, you said yes, that was the end of it. Did I want to have any more contact with you? No. Why? Because there was no need to. You were not important to my life. I got the permission, I posted the story, that was it for you and I. But apparently, you thought we were friends, and that I owed you updates, which is just really weird and narcissistic, okay?
The point is that the focus had completely shifted. Instead of people talking about Timber, creators had started arguing with each other over who had the latest updates, who had insider information, and who was covering the story the right way. And that, ironically, is exactly what happens when too many people insert themselves into someone else's personal crisis. Another piece of information we found was this video that Chloe posted about Marissa and what Danny had to say about her.
I'm going to start off with just a message that she sent me asking to make this post. There will be a little bit of a Timber update here, but a lot of this is about Marissa because that whole Marissa situation is, you'll see. All right, here we go. So Danielle sent me this message. Could you please post? This whole Timber rabbit hole started with Dylan and his friends and family feeling Timber has a very unhealthy obsession with Dylan. Is anyone going to talk about Marissa's unhealthy obsession with my daughter Timber? Clock that shit. But like, literally, what is Marissa doing? Danielle is absolutely right. Marissa is full on obsessed with Timber. There's a complete difference between trying to get Timber help and doing what Marissa is doing. I want to remind everybody, Danielle is Timber's mom. So she called the caseworkers after she saw Marissa's video because who in their right mind would not call the caseworkers? She's very concerned for her daughter's safety after hearing that all of her medical information has supposedly been disclosed to Marissa, according to Marissa. Thank goodness, though, rest assured everybody, the caseworkers told Danny that no one has called about Timber besides her. They also let Danny know that if Marissa made a report to DHS, she wouldn't receive any paper mail. So I don't know what that paper was that she pulled out. I guess she printed that off. I don't know. I'm not going to say nothing about that beyond that. But DHS says they're not going to send you mail. And I will say I made a report to DHS, and they told me the only thing they could tell me is whether they accept the report and are going to do an investigation or not. Like, that's it. They can't tell you what happens in the investigation or anything beyond that. That's what they told me.
So there is that. While Marissa accused Timber of being obsessed with Dylan, Danny accused Marissa of being obsessed with her daughter. Honestly, fair enough. Now, to stay true to the timeline, this video was posted by Chloe after Timber moved away from her mother's house. To give you guys some context, when this story first kicked off, Timber was staying at the facility where she met Dylan. After that, she was kicked out and stayed with her mom, Danny, for a while. She then moved into a hotel. And now, from what we've been able to piece together, we're not completely sure. We believe she's back in some type of treatment or transitional facility. And trust us when we say that the situation only became more chaotic from there. When Timber's mother, Danny, reportedly took away her phone, Marissa uploaded another video criticizing that decision.
You know, I'm really worried for her too, because there's a second part to that story which I forgot. There was another comment that I couldn't reply to, so I am going to let you know. So I forgot to mention that Danielle claimed to be so worried about Timber that she took her to the hospital when her wrist was broken after falling down the stairs when Gerald pushed her. She says that, ironically, when she was at the hospital, Gerald was in the next room from Timber. So she went over to try to talk to him. And when she did that, the police stopped her and said, ma'am, you can't go in there. And she was like, why? That's my husband. Like, let me speak to my husband. And they said, no, there's an investigation going. We can't do that. We need to question you. So supposedly they were questioning her for attempted murder because he was apparently jumped by 9 guys, she said. Then she says, nope, I'm not going to be arrested for this because I didn't do anything wrong. Even though the reason why Timber got involved in the first place was because she was coming to her mother's defense because they were having an altercation. So Timber's mom goes, no, I'm not doing this. Timber's the one that called the police. This is Timber's fault. She punched him, and yeah, she broke her wrist because she fell down the stairs, but it's her fault, and that's that. So instead of protecting her daughter, she threw her daughter under the bus, and that's how Timber got the DV charge. I personally think that that is awful and terrible. I am worried about her safety too, because she gets Social Security and disability, but those checks go to her mother's house. They go to her mailing address, and her mailing address is certainly not the hotel. So it's her mother that's paying for the hotel and for her food with her benefits, which scares me due to the history between the two of them. I'm worried for where she is. She's seemingly gone just completely MIA. I know that she's not in custody because I'm in contact with Iowa services. That's what I'm gonna say about that one. But yeah, I'm worried too, and I really hope that she's okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the mom took both of the phones at this point. I'm sure that I will get more information when I'm contacted again. It's ongoing. But yeah, I'm really worried too.
So in this video, if you guys don't know the context, don't worry, because honestly, neither do we. From what we've been able to piece together, Timber was reportedly arrested following some kind of domestic violence incident involving a man named Gerald, who's believed to be her stepfather or a stepfather figure. Now, the details surrounding this incident are incredibly unclear, and we're not going to pretend we know exactly what happened because we simply don't. What we do know is that prior to this, Timber has made a number of very serious allegations against Gerald online, claiming that he had behaved inappropriately toward her. Those are obviously extremely serious claims, and regardless of everything else surrounding Timber, allegations of that nature should never be dismissed or ignored outright. If there is any truth to them, they deserve to be properly investigated by the appropriate authorities. That being said, you'd think that after seeing how out of control everything had become, Marissa might decide to step back. Instead, she became even more involved. She later claimed that she had been speaking not only with Timber, but also with multiple members of Timber's family, including her mother Danny and other relatives.
I've spoken to multiple family members at this point, and it's a very sad case, and it is really showing why we need more access to better healthcare for mental health in America, because this is a very obvious case of being let down by the system and then not having anywhere to go when there's an actual issue. So let's get into some of the things I've discussed with the family. I've spoken to Danny, her mother, short for Danielle, and I've spoken to one of Danielle's siblings.
We're not going to play the whole video because just like Timber, Marissa also speaks like a turtle, and it's extremely hard to comb through her videos for information, which is ironic considering that she calls herself a reporter. However, what we would like to talk about is another major incident that occurred. When Timber eventually returned to social media after disappearing for a while, Marissa was once again one of the first creators to post an update, and she was crying happy tears because Timber got her phone back.
Seeing Timber online right now makes me so emotional because there was something that I did to help today, and as a result, she got her phone back. She's getting some help, and it shows that the mother was lying.
She even claimed that she had personally been helping Timber, saying that she had gotten her food and that her involvement had played a role in Timber eventually getting her phone back. Now, a lot of people online pointed out that this wasn't necessarily the positive update Marissa was making it out to be. From the very beginning, one of the biggest questions people had was, why was Timber allowed unrestricted access to the internet in the first place? Many viewers believed that constantly being online was only fueling the situation. Because of that, quite a few people actually felt that Timber being without her phone for a while was one of the only things that might allow the situation to finally calm down. And those opinions quickly showed up in Marissa's comments section. One viewer simply wrote, "She doesn't need her phone back." Marissa responded by saying that regardless of whether people agreed with Timber's posts or whether Marissa herself agreed with them, it wasn't legal to take away the property of a 22-year-old adult. However, another commenter pushed back, pointing out that the situation might not be that simple. They argued that if Timber was under a legal guardianship or another legal arrangement because of her mental health, different rules could apply. Now, we obviously don't know what Timber's legal situation is, so we're not going to speculate on who's legally correct here. But what this exchange does show is how divided people had become. Some believed restoring Timber's access to social media was the right thing to do, while others worried it would only restart the same cycle that had brought everyone to this point in the first place. There was also another criticism directed at Marissa herself. A number of viewers accused her of making the situation about herself, particularly when she became emotional and repeatedly emphasized everything she had done to help Timber. And honestly, even if her intentions were genuine, she did seem to give herself a lot of credit throughout the series, frequently reminding viewers that she had contacted people, spoken to family members, worked behind the scenes, and played a role in helping Timber. For many people watching, it started to feel less like updates about Timber and more like updates about Marissa's involvement in Timber's life. But perhaps the biggest claim came next. Marissa said that she had been communicating with Timber's caseworkers and was alongside DHS in an effort to help Timber receive treatment. Yeah, you heard that correctly.
We're moving in a really good direction. She did give me the numbers to the case managers that I needed. And me, the case managers in Iowa, are all working together to get Timber the long-term care that she deserves, she needs. Dylan his piece, Cody piece, and everyone can move on in a positive way.
At this point, she wasn't just speaking to Timber, she wasn't just talking to her family. She was now claiming to be communicating with government agencies and professionals involved in Timber's care. On paper, that might sound admirable, but to many viewers it also sounded like someone stepping into an incredibly sensitive situation without any clear authority or professional responsibility to do so. This had gone far beyond what most people would consider normal commentary, and that's why the criticism only intensified. Some people even questioned whether the way Marissa discussed her involvement with caseworkers and medical information could create privacy concerns, while others argued that she was presenting herself almost as if she were an official spokesperson for the situation. A few people in the comments section also pointed out how when she was talking about Timber's money, she almost used the word "we." This commenter wrote, "Did anyone notice when she was talking about Timber saving money, she went to say 'we', then stopped and reworded it? Like she's going to have access to Timber's money?" And sure enough, if we replay the video, we can catch that clearly.
Saying, you know what, that may not be a bad idea, because she had expressed to me, you know, if I leave here, what about the hotel? It's a lot of money. And it is a lot of money. So I was like, girl, stack that money. Stay, you know, if you have a place to stay, a warm bed, 3 meals a day, it doesn't matter if you don't like the meals, stack that money so that when you are ready to leave.
Whether or not those criticisms are fair is entirely up to each viewer to decide. But one thing's undeniable. By this point, Marissa was no longer simply reporting on the Timber Bowman story. She had become one of its central characters. And if all that wasn't enough, Marissa didn't just cover the people directly involved, she also started reaching out to them. At one point, she even made a public video asking Cody to contact her so she could hear his side of the story.
Cody, if you want to reach out to me, please do, because this is a really bad situation for you who was a past victim, because now this is being brought up and that's traumatic for you and your partner. Sorry. And it's currently traumatic for Dylan, who must be in fear for his life, obviously, so.
Then there were some of the contradictions that viewers couldn't help but point out. For example, Marissa often said she was making these videos so people wouldn't have to visit Timber's page and give her attention. but at the same time, she encouraged viewers to save and share her videos so that they could collect more information.
Giving you so much information, timeline, and all of that is because a man's life is currently being ruined, and we can't allow that to happen. So as content creators that feel an importance to do something when they see a person being wronged, if we can somehow come together, number one, this person should not be on social media because that's the method they're using to harass this person. Report the account. That will help. Gather any information that you could send over to Dylan that may be sounding violent or anything of that nature. If you see a story, sometimes I miss stories, so if she does that, just record them so that this man can have all of the evidence that he needs so that she can either be put back in jail or put into a true mental health facility, because that's really what she truly needs.
That left a lot of people confused, because which one is it? Is the goal to reduce attention surrounding this situation or to maximize engagement with your coverage of it? Then there's the money aspect. Marissa repeatedly insisted that she wasn't doing any of this for views, followers, or financial gain, and that she didn't need the money anyway. However, screenshots that have circulated online appear to paint a different picture, with some viewers claiming they show her talking about financial struggles.
I got signed to this mortgage loan originator company, and when you're in finance, you need something called a loan origination system, and they're expensive. And when you're an MLO, you're technically a 1099 because it's commission based. So I have to pay $88 a month to the company. And I have this $3 million construction loan in the pipeline, which could result in potentially $30 million to me. But I don't have enough money rotating in my account because, like you, I don't really have a job, and I've just taken the hit so that I could do school.
Now, whether those screenshots tell the full story or not, we can't say for certain, but they do make it easier to understand why some people become skeptical whenever Marissa insisted she had absolutely nothing to gain from covering this case. And from her Facebook, we know that she was definitely broke. She's been posting for quite some time about living off food stamps and struggling financially, and heaven knows who she was trying to scam with all those GoFundMe campaigns. When you look at all of that together, it's easy to understand why some viewers became skeptical of Marissa's intentions. If she had been trying to grow her platform for a long time, then the Timber story may have seemed like a major opportunity to gain attention and build a larger audience. Some critics even speculated that becoming so deeply involved in Timber's life, she was also trying to position herself in a way that could give her influence over Timber's disability benefits or other forms of assistance. It's not necessarily that she made videos about Timber, plenty of creators did that. It's the combination of constantly presenting herself as completely selfless, while at the same time becoming more and more personally involved, contradicting some of her own statements, and inserting herself so deeply into the story that people eventually stopped talking about Timber and started talking about Marissa instead. With all that being said, we think this is a good place to end today's video. Before we do, though, we just want to clarify a couple things. First, we intentionally didn't spend too much time diving into the entire Timber Bowman story because there are already plenty of creators covering every single update. Our goal with this video wasn't to recap Timber's life, it was to take a closer look at Marissa's coverage of the situation and why so many people have criticized the way she handled it. We also want to make one thing absolutely clear. We do not support harassment, bullying, or dogpiling anyone featured in this video. Please don't go to Marissa's page, Timber's page, or anyone else's page involved in this situation to leave hateful comments or contact them directly. That only makes an already messy situation even worse. What we do want to hear is your thoughts. Do you think Marissa handled this situation responsibly? Do you think she crossed the line by contacting Timber, her family, or even claiming to work with caseworkers? Do you think some of the information she shared should have remained private? And do you think her coverage became exploitative? For us, the answer isn't completely black and white. Do we think she handled this situation irresponsibly? In many ways, yes. Do we think she became far too personally involved? Absolutely. Do we think she benefited from covering Timber while insisting she had nothing to gain? Based on everything we've seen, we don't really buy that narrative. But do we think she's the worst person on TikTok? No. The reality is that this is an incredibly complicated situation situation involving someone who appears to be struggling with serious mental health issues. We don't necessarily believe Marissa set out with malicious intentions or wanted to hurt anyone. Our concern is that good intentions don't automatically lead to good outcomes. With that being said, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's deep dive, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.